Hello students, I am your science teacher Sonali Kelkar, and today we are going to study about the tissues, and in that tissues we are going to study about connective tissues and few more tissue. So let's start our chapter now. Yes, in the recap, let's see what we have done. We have done with the epithelial tissue. What are the epithelial tissues? Protection by covering means they protect our organs, right? They are present in the outer surface of organ as well as in the cavities of different organs, and the main function is protection, right? So we have done with the epithelial tissues such as squamous epithelial tissues, which are flattened, cuboidal, which have a cube shape, columnar, pillar-like shape, ciliated, having cilia, that is a villi-like or hair-like projection, right? And glandular tissues, which are secretory in nature, right? They may forms gland and they secretes fluid, okay? So that these are glandular, okay, tissues. Right, now coming to the connective tissue, because we are doing connective tissue today and few more tissues. Okay, now what do we mean by connective tissue? Yes, the connective tissue are important for binding and support as well as transport. Okay, so we are going to see which type of connective tissues are for binding, for support and for transport, right? Now here there are the list of the connective tissues that we are going to do today, right? So in the connective tissue we have fluid tissue, that is blood and lymph, right? Then we have to deal with the skeletal connective tissue. In that we are going to learn about cartilage and bone, right? Then there are supporting tissues, supporting connective tissues, tendon and ligament. Then nevertheless adipose and areolar, right? So these are the connective tissue that we are going to do today. So let's start. Okay, now here is the recap of what we did before, right? Epithelial tissues, they are protective tissues of the human body. They cover main organs and cavity we have discussed, right? Where are the epithelial tissue found in human bodies? Lining of blood vessels, lining of mouth, kidney tubules, skin and lung alveoli, right? Then structure and function of epithelial tissue. Here I want to tell you something which is new to all of you, right? The main function of epithelial tissue is to act as a barrier and separate different organs, right? The cells are permeable, that means there can be exchange of gases and different materials through them, right? Epithelial tissue remains separated from the tissue beneath them because of a thin membrane over them. Now this thin membrane is nothing but a collagen membrane, okay? And there are no space between the cells of the epithelial tissue. So here we are going to discuss this point with the help of an example. Now these tissues are always present on the basement. Now this is the basement, okay? Now this is made up of collagen. Now what are collagen? Collagens are fibers. Sorry, they are proteins. Collagens are proteins, right? They are present in skin, they are present in fibers, muscle fibers, they are present in bones, right? They are present everywhere, okay? They are the main component of our body. Our body is sturdy and it has strength because of the collagen fiber. So there is always a basement which is made up of a collagen fiber, which keeps separate these epithelial tissue, okay? So this is what I want to tell you, right? If you see, there is no intercellular space, they are completely packed. So this is what about epithelial tissue, right? Now this is a table where the different epithelial tissues are discussed, okay? Simple squamous, stratified squamous, columnar, ciliated columnar, cuboidal and glandular. We have discussed this before, children. Still I will take a little fast this topic, okay? Structure, let's see the structure. A simple squamous, they have delicate cells lining and possess a flat, thin structure, right? This is what about simple squamous. Then stratified squamous, these epithelial squamous cells are arranged in several layers, right? We have discussed. Then columnar, they are column-like. Ciliated, they are column-like but they have a cilia present on them. Now cuboidal, they are cube-shaped cells which are involved in absorption and secretion. So these two are a very important point, involved in absorption and secretion, because you don't have to learn cube shape because it is very obvious from the name. Glandular, right? So glandular, that means they are forming glands, and what is the function of the gland? Secrete substances. It can be anything, right? So let's see found in, which is very important. Simple squamous tissue found in alveoli, Bowman's capsule. Bowman's capsule, if you can't learn, you can write a nephron in kidney, okay, or write kidney tubules, right? Then stratified skin, right? Then columnar intestine, ciliated respiratory system, as well as we have done, that is fallopian tube or ovary duct. Okay, if you don't write fallopian tube, if you write ovary duct, then it's fine. Okay, then cuboidal kidney tubules, right? Very important points. And glandular sweat glands in the skin. So this is a uh, very small part of the table which I have presented here. Okay, it has all the important points. I have removed all unnecessary points. These are the important points which you are supposed to learn. Connective tissue. So our main topic is connective tissue. As the name suggests, definitely it is going to connect different organs, isn't it, with each other, right? So they are named, so that is why they have given the name connective tissue. But there are connective tissue which give supports to our body. Okay, so let's see the different type of connective tissue, structure and function of connective tissue. They are loosely bound cells, okay, present in an intracellular matrix, right? Now let us discuss more in detail. Okay, now if I talk about the connective tissue, then if I talk about the connective tissue, they have three main components, students, and the main components are the cell and fibers. Let's say collagen fiber. Collagen is a protein. Okay, so these fibers are made up of protein. You can see this are collagen fibers, right? These are the cell, right? And what is the ground matrix? This is a ground matrix. Okay, this wheat color or pale yellow color, it is a matrix. We call it matrix. So you will hear this word matrix most of the time when we are doing connective tissue, right? So these matrix are present intercellular matrix, right? So between the cells, intercellular means it is not inside the cells, it is outside the cells, between different cells. This matrix is present. Now there are different types of matrix, right? Because the connective tissue are of different types, you know. So there are dense matrix present in ligaments and tendons, right? So we can see the ligaments and tendons, the dense matrix are present. Now the rigid matrix is present in bones. You can see the bones here. Okay, you can see the matrix, the yellow part, the cream yellow part, right? The cells, osteocysts are present in the bone, right? Then their central canal, we are going to deal anyways more in detail. Okay, so this is the matrix, the ground substance, the background one, which you can find here, right? Fluid matrix is present in blood. Okay, inside the blood you can see these are the white blood cells. Okay, the purple color white blood cells you can see. Red blood cells are present. Okay, and plasma. Plasma is the fluid part. Okay, this is the fluid part of blood. Okay, and the rest of the white blood cells, red blood cells and platelets, they are the cellular part, right? And the fluid or the jelly like, they are different. Why these matrix have a different structure? These matrix are different because the function of the cells, okay, the cells which we have discussed is different, right? Okay, that is why it is different. So in concordance with the functions of the particular connective tissue, depending upon the functionality of the connective tissue, the nature of the matrix varies in them, right? Now coming to the first connective tissue, that is blood. Now as we have discussed before, the blood is a fluid connective tissue. And what is the fluid part in blood? That is plasma, right? Plasma is the fluid part of the blood. It has maximum percentage of water, right? Then it has certain salts. It has certain salts, proteins and hormones, right? The plasma contains proteins, salts and hormones, right? It also contains RBCs, red blood corpuscles, white blood corpuscles, and platelets are also suspended in plasma. And what is the function of blood? Okay, why it is liquid? It is liquid. It is a form of a liquid because it has to flow. It has to flow through blood vessels. And why it has to flow? Because it has to transport gases. Which gases? Oxygen, isn't it? It has to take oxygen to the cells. And what about carbon dioxide? It has to take carbon dioxide from the cells, and it has to give all the way and take to the lungs, where the exchange of gases will takes place, of course, right? Then what about a digested food? Digested food which is digested in the intestine, that has to be transported to the different cells. Then it helps in the transportation of hormones which are secreted by the endocrine glands, vitamins which are absorbed by the digestive food, waste materials. Yes, when there is a metabolism of proteins, right, then definitely there is a waste material produced. So the waste material which is a product of metabolism in the cells, right? These waste materials such as urea. Oh, urea is a very dangerous for our body, right? Urea, uric acid, okay, all these waste materials should be thrown out from our body, right? That is to be transported, okay, by the blood to where? Where does, which part of the body is a filtration part or the filtration plant of our body? That's its kidneys, right? Kidneys. So blood take waste material to kidneys, okay, from where this waste material is filtered out and thrown out from our body, okay, through urine. Then RBCs have hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is pigments which carries oxygen, right? Okay, then white blood corpuscles which fight diseases. Okay, they fight against the diseases, so they are very important to build up our immunity. Our immunity system will be fantastic if we have good amount of white blood cells, right? Platelets. Have you ever thought about how the blood get, you know, clot? Okay, so coagulation of blood takes place due to the platelets, right? Platelets are very important to stop the bleeding, otherwise it will bleed and person may die because of excessive bleeding. Okay, blood platelets help in clotting of the blood, which is very important. Okay, coming to the next connective tissue, that is bones, right? Now blood has a fluid matrix. What about the bones? Okay, bones must be having a rigid matrix. Okay, now why it has to have rigid matrix? Because it gives support to our body. It is a framework of our body. Okay, bones forms a framework. Okay, it anchors the muscles. Muscles are attached to the bones. Muscles are attached to the bones, which facilitates different movement. Okay, it gives supports to the organs of the body also, right? Your lungs are getting protected by the ribs, right? That is also a bone, right? Your internal organs are protected by bones. Our brain is protected by skull, right? So there are different bones which are present in our body, which protects the organs, and it also anchors the muscles. Now where are the muscles? Muscles are attached to the bones, isn't it? So it is a strong and it is very strong, but it is non-flexible tissue. Okay, bones doesn't move. Mm, but it is only the joints where the movement you can feel, right? So bone cells are embedded in a hard matrix that is composed of calcium and phosphorus compound. Children, this is very, very important. Matrix of bones composed of calcium and phosphorus. That is why it is very important to have calcium diet. Okay, calcium in your diet. So you should have a lot of milk, you know, egg, which supplies calcium to you. Okay. Now, bones are usually, if you have seen the bones, they are porous. Okay. If you have ever seen the bones, they are porous. Okay. They're highly vascular. Vascular means there is a good supply of blood over there. And how the blood is supplied over there? Because of the blood vessels. Okay, so you can see the mineralized, hard and rigid. They are mineralized. There has a lot of minerals. Calcium, phosphorus is the mineral, definitely. They are hard and rigid due to the presence of the calcium and phosphorus. Okay, here the bones comprise of microscopic tubes called Harvesian's canal. You can see the Harvesian's canal here, children, right? These Harvesian canals, they contain blood vessels as well as nerve fibers, right? They contain blood vessels as well as nerve fibers. And you can see the bone cells. Bone cells are known as osteocytes, right? You can see the bone cells here. Okay, these all are bone cells, and there are canaliculus containing cylinder process of bone cells or osteocytes, right? Canaliculus has uh, osteocytes, right, or contain the cylinder process of bone cells, right? Now they allow the blood vessels, lymphatic vessels and nerve fibers to travel through them. Blood vessels, lymphatic vessels and nerve fibers to travel through them, right? The Harvesian canals communicate with bone cells through connections called canaliculi. How this Harvesian canal is going to connect to the bone cells? This is through the canaliculi. Okay. Then comes the ligament. Ligament, ligament connects two bones. Very important. Ligaments connect two bones together, right? It has elasticity which facilitates the connection. Two bones together, two bones of your arms, you know, so they are connected by the ligaments, right? Even your knee muscles, knee has ligament in it, so they connect two bones together. Definitely it has to be elastic, right? Because it facilitates in the movement, right? So it has elasticity which facilitates the connection. It also facilitates the movement. The cells of the ligaments have little matrix. Here the cell, this is very important point. Ligament cells have little matrix, right? Now coming to the tendon. Tendons tissues are responsible for connecting. They connect bones with muscles. Muscles and bones, as we have discussed before. Okay, bones anchored muscles, so that means bones are connected to muscles. Now which tissues are connecting these bones with muscles? These are tendon tissues. These are tendon tissues which connect your bones with your muscles. Okay, they have limited flexibility because they don't have any work of movement, right? They are just connecting, so they are limited flexibility, but they have very great strength. The strength is too good. Okay, now coming to the cartilage. You have heard, have you ever touched the top of your nose or the tip of your nose? And have you ever turned the ear pinna, like squeeze the inner ear pinna, right? So the cartilages are also a type of bone. This is a type of connective tissue, but they are something different from bones. Why? Because they are more flexible and they provide the bones a smooth structure. Okay, they provide the bones a smooth structure. Then in cartilages, the connective tissues has widely spaced cell. Here you can see the connective tissues, the tissue of the cells of cartilages are called chondrocytes, and you can see there are wide space between the chondrocytes. Yeah, they're widely separated. Okay, hyaline is a matrix of cartilage, right, students? Okay, and the matrix, this matrix contains made up of protein and sugar. Very important. The matrix of cartilage is made up of protein and sugar. They have homogeneous matrix. Homogeneous matrix. That means the composition is same throughout the matrix. Okay. It provides supports and flexibility to various parts of our body. Here you can see the tip of the nose, right? Ear pinna, they are quite flexible. Trachea, we have C-shaped cartilages in trachea, okay? So that the air when coming out, okay, so that the trachea doesn't get collapse when air goes out from your trachea, right? Air comes in and goes out from the trachea. While going out, it shouldn't collapse. So there are cartilages, C-shaped cartilages, which supports the trachea. Larynx is also known as voice box, right? It also has cartilage. Now, connective tissue, other types of connective tissues are areolar connective tissue, right? Various type of connective tissues such as areolar connective tissue, they are found between the skin and the muscles. Have you ever tried to stretch your skin? Have you ever tried to pull your skin? Not stretch. Have you ever tried to pull your skin? You will find that yes, your skin, you can pull your skin. So why you can pull the skin? It is due to the presence of areolar tissues, right? And they are present around the blood vessels. They are also present along the blood vessels, around the blood vessels, nerves, and in the bone marrow, right? Now, what is the function of areolar tissue? It fills the space inside the organ. Because they are present in the bone marrow, you can make out that it fills the space inside the organ, supports internal organ, okay, and helps in repair of tissue. Very important. They helps in the repair of tissue. They supports internal organ. Internal organ are supported by areolar tissues, right? Uh, and what about the fat store in the body? Have you ever thought about where the fat gets stored in your body? Yes, it is stored in adipose tissue, right? It is found between, where do you found adipose tissue? Between internal organs, between the two different organs, even around the organs, fat. If there is a fat deposition around the liver, if this is liver and there is a fat deposition around the liver, this is a very bad sign, right? It is not good for your liver, right? So they are found between the internal organs and below the skin. Below the skin you can feel the fats, okay? You can see the tummy, okay? There are some thighs, there are some special places in your body where the fat usually get deposit, right? So where they are deposit? They are deposit in the adipose tissue. The fats get deposit in the adipose tissue, right? Now, what is the function of adipose tissue? It stores fat. Now, why it is required to store fat? Because we know that fat is a source of energy. Fat is a source of energy, right? So whenever our body requires energy in case of any emergency, or if you have gone for starvation, so this energy source, the fat, can be utilized to give energy. It acts as an insulator, right? It provides cushioning to the organ. This is also important, okay, so that your organs get protected whenever you get any kind of mechanical injury, okay? So it provides cushioning to the organs. It does provide cushioning to bones, right? It's not like your bones are protected when you fell somewhere in a hard on the hard surface, right? Your bones are always protected by the fats around it, okay? Now here you can see the collagen fibers. This is the diagram of areolar tissue. You can see a lot of gap over here, right? So these are fibroblasts, macrophages, collagen fibers, and mast cells, right? So here this is the composition of your areola tissue. Now let's go for the question. Right. Which tissues are called covering or protective tissue? I think you must know by this time it is epithelial tissue, right? Next question, where do you find simple squamous in animal body? Simple squamous, alveoli and blood vessels, right? So cell lining, blood vessels and lungs alveoli, right? Next question, what is the shape of the cuboidal epithelium? Definitely it is a cube-like. Where do you find these tissue? Remember, kidney tubules. State one of their main functions, secretion, right? The main function is secretion, one of the main function. What type of epithelial tissues are found in respiratory tract and the intestinal lining? In respiratory tract, what happened? In the trachea, which type of tissue? What we have did? It is columnar, ciliated columnar epithelial tissue, and intestinal lining, columnar epithelial tissue. Right, student? Let's take the next question. Name the fat storing tissue. Where are they located? Adipose tissue, which just now we did. Where are they located? They are located below the skin and between the internal organs. Which animal tissue help in repair of tissues and fills the space inside the organ? Repair of tissue, right? I have told you when I did this, and fills the space inside the organ. See, fills the space inside the organ, the filling space, areola tissue, right? What is the name of the bone cell? Osteocyte. Osteoblast, osteocytes, both are correct. Which blood cells deal with the immune reaction? WBCs, isn't it? White blood corpuscles. How are oxygen and food, hormones, waste materials transported in body? It is transported through blood. Next question, which tissue forms a barrier to keep different body systems separate? Epithelial tissue. What is the composition of cartilage matrix? Cartilage matrix, what should be the composition? What is there? Sugar and proteins. Next, give the name of the connective tissue lacking fiber. What is the name of the connective tissue which lacks fiber? It's blood, right? Next, a person met with an accident in which two long bones of hands were dislocated. Okay, which tissue is responsible for the connection between bone to bone? Okay, bone, oh my god, bone to bone connection. Which tissue is responsible for the bone to bone connection? What should be present here? It is B to B is ligament. Okay, bone to bone. So definitely a dislocation of the bone of the hand was caused due to the breakage of ligament, okay, which connects the two bones and keep them in place. Students, I want you all to write down the questions and answers in your portfolio, right? All the questions and answer given in this session, all of you are going to write in your portfolio. Consider it as a worksheet. Okay, so practice today's topic. Thank you so much.